Hi everyone, I hope you're all keeping well. Welcome to another live lesson. Welcome to another live lesson. We're going to go crazy today with showboating skills, flipping your uke, rakes, all that sort of stuff. So it's going to be completely mad, but a whole heap of fun. And it's been too long, hasn't it? It's been a long time. Dran is here. Yeah, everyone. Well, you've probably guessed already, I'm very lucky that this isn't a singing lesson today because the post-festival bug has finally caught up with me and I'm losing my voice. So hopefully I'll be able to get through today with all the teaching and everything. But if you wonder why I'm sounding very, very strange, I've developed this horrible post-festival bug thing. It's just been icky. I have been testing, and I've been testing negative for COVID so far, so fingers crossed we're all right. But I do, there it is, I do have a horrible cough. But yeah, anyway, boo-hoo for me. I'm perfectly happy to be here and teach you guys because, as you know, this is my favourite thing to do in the world. So it's lovely to be back, and hope you're all keeping well. Hi Lorraine, hi Karen, hi Indrani. And Lorraine's not feeling very well either. So hope we'll help each other through this, Lorraine. All right, we'll do this together. We'll all be fine. So yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to have a good old live lesson. And Indrani, I brought loads of fluids in today. Indrani told me off on Monday because quite rightly I forgot to bring fluids in, so I got a bit dehydrated. So yeah, we're going to have a really cool lesson. We're going to learn Crazy G, which is one of my favourite pieces of music, and it's loads and loads of fun. Then I'm going to show you all the kind of cool showboating tricks that we can do. These were made famous in the kind of 40s and 50s by a player called Roy Smeck. Loads of you will have encountered him already, probably through YouTube videos and things like that from the past. But he was this incredible player, played a beautiful old vintage Martin, and he used to do all these crazy tricks, blowing into the sound hole and squeaking the back of his uke and all this sort of stuff. Little chord slides, which we're gonna have fun with. So we're gonna take some of these tricks, really kind of inspired by Roy Smeck and the things that he used to do. If you haven't ever seen him perform, by video, obviously, he's sadly passed away. I think it was in the 80s or 90s he passed away. It's well worth checking him out. Just look up Roy Smeck. My favourite is called His Pastimes, but there's one of him doing the Tiger Street Rag, and there's, what else is there? Magic Ukulele Waltz and things like that as well. Oh, hi Shona, hope you're keeping well. Looking forward to catching up in person soon. So yeah, good to see you, good to see you. So let's have a look. We'll have a look at the piece. Oh, by the way, if you haven't downloaded the sheets, you can do so for £5. The link's in the description and in the comments as well. Of course, if you're one of my members via the website, you get them at no extra cost to your subscription. So you can pick them up there as well. All the details are there. What I'll do, just to start off with, I'm not going to do anything flash with it, and I'm going to play it at a relatively slow-ish speed. Let's just have a listen to Crazy G so you can get an idea of how it will sound. I won't do all the bells and whistles and all the tricks yet because I don't want to spoil the surprise. I want to teach those to you in a second. So I'll just do a kind of basic version of Crazy G just so you can hear what kind of thing we're aiming towards. And then I'll teach you the first section and we'll start looking at our tricks and have loads and loads of fun. And don't forget, any questions, just ping them in the comments as we go. Here we go. So a bit of Crazy G. There we go. I couldn't resist one trick at the end there. So a really, just a really fun piece of music. So, oh, John's here. Hi, John. Hope you're doing well. You made it here. You made it here. That's the important thing. And you haven't really missed anything, John. I was just playing a quick go through Crazy G so everyone could hear how it sounds. Yeah, this sounds really great on a soprano or concert. You can play this on a tenor or even a baritone. Obviously, you'd be in a different key to us if you played the same shapes on baritone. But you can play it on a tenor as well. It's absolutely fine. I think it suits the kind of the shrill kind of tone of a soprano. And of course, that's what Roy Smeck used to play when he did all this stuff. The other neat thing about soprano and concert is they're quite manageable in terms of we're going to flip them and do all this sort of stuff. So loads and loads of fun. But yeah, if you've only got a tenor, absolutely fine as well. We'll be good to go. So what I've done with this one is I've broken it down into sections to make it easier to learn. Let me shift across a bit. And I've, rather than doing tablature, what I've done is I've broken it down into little chord diagrams. So just to explain what's happening, each of these chord diagrams shows you exactly where to put your fingers. And you'll notice a lot of these look like forms of G major. G6s in this first bit, G majors here, and then G minor and a G7 later on. That's why it's called Crazy G. It's kind of interesting. No one's ever really put their finger on who wrote this. We think it came out of Hawaii in the early 20th century, but we don't actually know exactly who wrote this and where it was produced. And also there have been so many different versions of this over the years. And a bit like, you know how things get changed a tiny bit at a time, kind of like evolution, I guess, but in fast forward. Loads of musicians change this round each time they do it. So you will find different performers will play this slightly differently each time. It's part of the fun, right? So in terms of what's happening, we've got these chord diagrams here. Now, it'll probably be quite hard to read on the screen, but you'll notice above those chord diagrams, we have little tiny numbers. And the numbers tell you how many beats you played that chord for. The little asterisks next to each of them, it isn't the number one, it's a little, not an asterisk, sorry, an apostrophe. That is just the abbreviation of the word beat. Okay, that's what we do in music. So 2 apostrophe, 2 beats, 1 apostrophe, 1 beat, and so on and so forth. In terms of the strumming, what you're going to do is just strum up and down with a slight swing. So rather than dead straight like this, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, make the ands on the way up just a little bit shorter. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. A classic swing strum. Just means we're playing ever so slightly behind the beat on the up strum, which is a lovely thing to do. As simple as that. Now that means all we've got to do then is put our fingers in the right place. And I'll come on to close cam. I'm going to do a lot of this today because it's really important that you see what's going on. Basically, we put our fingers into the first shape, which is a G6 shape. Looks like a G major, but without this finger added. And we're going to play that for 2 beats, right? 1, 2. And this is kind of like you by numbers, because look, next thing we do, we move it back. 1, 2. We put it into a D7, a Hawaiian D7 shape. 1, 2. And then we add our pinky, a bit of a stretch for this one, up to the 5th fret. And we do 2 measures of that. Okay. So if we put that whole intro together, it's really simple. Just watch my fingers. Pull it back, up, little finger on. And I do it again. Pull it back, D7, little finger on. Not too bad, right? Let's do it together after 4, 2, 3, 4. And again. Yeah, fantastic. Now, don't worry about perfecting this today. I've just created another very croaky video that I'm going to put on all of my courses about how to practice. Funnily enough, Karen's here and it was inspired by something Karen posted, and I've been thinking about doing something like this for a while as well. It kind of teaches you how to structure your practice. And one of the points that I make in that video, which is really important, is that you don't have to get the repertoire down perfectly when you're watching these videos. I'm going to teach you the skills and show you how to do everything. You take it away, learn it in your own time and practice it. So when we get to the end of today, you'll be able to play a lot of Crazy G, but if you're not able to play it all perfectly, that's not the point. You'll be able to do all the fun tricks, you'll know how to learn it, and you'll be able to have a whole heap of fun. So don't worry if you haven't got that perfect yet. That's basically how we're going to do it, break it down. Let's do part 1 and then I'll teach you your first couple of tricks, which is going to be loads of fun. So let's go to the next section, which starts here on this next line down, part 1 of section A. Now this one, all we're doing is we're playing just a normal G major chord. That just means a G chord like this. We're going to keep that strum going up and down. And all we're going to do is we're going to take our finger off and on that G note, the 3rd fret of the E string. One beat of each, so it sounds like this. On, off, on, off, on. 2 beats. That last one, that's not too tricky, is it? Let's try that after 4. 2, 3, 4. On, off, on, off, on. Yeah, fabulous. The next thing we do in the next line is we just move these 2 fingers like so they're in this position. Now this is creating a G minor chord. This one is G major and this one is G minor, and it's all about this note here. The B note is flattened to a B flat, but all you need to do is just swap these 2 around. Then we do exactly the same thing with this finger. It goes on, off, on, off, on, off, on. Not too bad, right? Let's give it a go. 2, 3, 4. On, off, on, off, on, off, on. Yeah, fabulous. Let's put that together with the G major at the start of part 1. Ignore the intro, just at the start of part 1. 2, 3, 4. On, off, on, off, on, off, on. Flip it round. On, off, on, off, on, off, on. Yeah, amazing. I'll keep on close cam just for a bit longer whilst we do the next bit. So what we're going to do now is we're going to play a G chord as normal. We're going to reach up and put our finger onto the 5th fret of the A string and take it away. Okay, so that will sound like this. G, G, little finger off and on. Okay. 2, 3, 4. G, G, on, off. And then we do exactly the same thing with a D7. Exactly the same thing. Off, off, on, off. Fantastic. And then just to finish off, we do 4 beats of G. Pull that whole shape back a fret like so. And move it back. That's simple. Let's try the whole of part 1 from here. Let's give it a go. 2, 3, 4. On, off, on, off, on, off, on. Flip to G minor. On, off, on, off, on, off, on. Back to G. Little finger on. And off to D7. Little finger on and off. And G. Slide back. And forward. Yeah, fantastic. Now, this leads me to one of my favourite techniques, favourite tricks, showboating trick. This was made famous by Roy Smeck, and I'd seen him do it in videos, but I'd never kind of taught myself to do it before. And then I saw Phil Dolman performing. I think he might have been playing one of my retreats, and he was playing this old blues song, and he was playing away. Let me just move this even lower so you can see. Let's go over there a bit. There we go. And he was playing this song, just kind of strumming along. And he hit a chord. And then I noticed that he pushed his uke with his right hand. And he got this chord slide with this hand. And And it just sounded so cool. I was like, what is it that's going on? What are you doing? And it was an old Roy Smeck trick. So what you can do is when we do this bit at the end of part 1, where we go from this chord slid back to this chord, so it's just a G flat to a G basically. Instead of moving your fingers here, in effect what you're doing, if I zoom out a bit, is you're pushing the uke up. So by pushing the uke with this hand, it forces your chord to go into the next fret. So if I do this again, see how when I push, it changes the chord. It's really cool, isn't it? It makes me think of Elvis going, oh. So you can practice it, just hit the chord, G flat, make sure you're on the 1st and 2nd frets, and push. Fantastic. Now I like to do that, if I come in a little bit closer, with this very rough timing, if I just play just that last line of part 1, just stand here, I like to play it like this. Isn't that cool? And if you really want to showboat it, you can move your hand up so you look all sort of fancy pants, if you like, as well. So that's the first trick that we're going to do at the end of part 1. Just loads of fun. And Indrani, yeah, you're dead right. Don't push too far, because if you go too far, you end up with a G sharp rather than a G major, right? And if you go too far, you end up losing your ukulele, and we don't want that. So make sure you don't push too far. But yeah, isn't it cool? Now, there's another one that we could do. In fact, there's a few that we can do. Let's do one more at the end of this section, which sounds really nice. And this is often called the ratchet, because you know ratchet, a bit like a spanner with the end, where you kind of, when you're doing your mechanics. I don't do much plumbing nowadays, but we did have a leak a while ago, so I did use one recently. It's the sounds that you get when you use a ratchet, and we're gonna make that sound on a ukulele. Again, all goes back to Roy Smeck. Let me just move a couple of these comments, and I'll show you how this one's going to work, because it's really good fun. Just move this down. There we go. Sorry guys, just got to move a few things around on my screen so I can show you. Fabulous. Okay, there's a couple more as well, which we'll do in a minute. Wait for a second. There we go. A lot of these you can put anywhere in the song as well. Yeah, spanner wrench. Yeah, you've got it, like a wrench, totally. And you can put these at any point in the song, but I like to put them where I put trick 1 and trick 2, etc. So, but they're all completely interchangeable, really. So what we do with the ratchet, I'm actually going to move this off as well so you can see really well. Basically, at any point in the song, I like to do it where we've stopped, like at the end of the first section. What you do is you take the nail of your index finger, it could be any of your fingers really, but I like the nail of the index finger, and you place it right in between the C and the E strings. The reason we use those 2 strings is it's less likely to fall off the soundboard. And you're going to press it up against the wood of your fretboard, and you're going to pull that finger back. And do you hear that sound? It does sound kind of like a spanner or a wrench, right, going round. The reason it sounds so nice, and I think it's so cool, is because your frets start further apart and then they get closer together. The sound kind of goes up in velocity and pitch, like a wrench going around, which is really sweet. Now this takes a bit of practice, but I like to do it after I've ended the first section, like this. Oh, I didn't hit it very well. That's better. There we go. So just, it's completely daft, isn't it? But so much fun. Have a little go at that. Another little trick, which we call the ratchet. Now, let's look at a couple of tricks that you can do anywhere in this piece as well, and they sound really fab. One of my favourite is what I've noted as a chord bend. You know how you can bend a note by playing it and then moving it up and down? You get it a lot in blues music, don't you? Did you know that you can also bend an entire chord? Say you're playing a G chord, you can actually take all of these fingers and wobble them up and down. Now you can go up or down as you do it. Keep your thumb on the back of the uke. As always, we don't want it riding up over the top, keep it on the back there. And then just pull 3 of your fingers down and you'll get this. Do you hear that? Sounds like your uke's on a trampoline, right? And that's one of the kind of things that you can do at any point in the song. Quite often when I rest on a G, so I could do it at the start. When I rest on this G, I can just give it a bend as we go. So I could do that at the end as well. Sweet, isn't it? So just pull all of those fingers down, let them bend strings, and then you can practice releasing it. And depending on how comedic you want it, it depends how up and down you kind of move it. It's really, really good fun. So yeah, just make a little note of these. I've named them all in your worksheets as well. So if you've got your worksheets up, these tricks are on the final 2 pages. You've got all of the different names, which is really nice. One more that you can do anywhere, which I really like as well, is often called the rake. Think of like a rake that picks up leaves, right, on your gardens, and you can kind of drag the leaves away, can't you, to put them away. Well, what we can do is a similar thing with our right hand, or whichever hand you strum with, and that's when we get to an area where we've rested. And I like this at the end of the intro. Remember, the intro is this part. I like to put it here. Hear that? What we do with the rake is we take 3 or 4 fingers. Now I like to use 3 fingers because my little finger doesn't have a nail on, because I often use it to anchor when I'm playing fingerstyle, whereas my other 3 do. If you've got 4 nails, you can use 4 fingers. If you've got no nails, you can use the pads of your fingers. It's perfectly fine. And what we do is we splay our fingers out, and they're relatively quite tight. Normally I let all the tension go in my hand, but I do make them quite tight so they're stretched out. And then I gradually bring each one over the strings. So we get this kind of drag sound. Hear that? And because you're starting with the highest note, and this works really well at the end of that intro where we've got this lovely D7 chord with this note, because you've got the highest note to the lowest note, you get this kind of reverse purr, like a reverse, almost like a flamenco. Yeah, almost like a flamenco strum in Drani, exactly. Like so, this nice rake. So I like to put that at the end of the intro like this. So just something you can have a little mess about with. It's just a fun little thing that you can do anywhere, and that's the rake. So I think what we should do then is let's see if we can put the intro and part 1 together. Now, depending on which tricks you want to do at the end of each of those, you could do the rake, you could do a chord bend, you could do the push. You go for it, all right? Put in whichever you feel like. I think I'm going to do a rake after the intro, and then I'm going to do the nudge after part 1. Let's have a go. I'll bring it on screen and we can have a go. We'll do this way below tempo. It's really important to practice below tempo when you're doing these things. Okay, I just changed the camera. There we go. Fantastic. Hi, Barbara. Oh no, hopefully, fingers crossed, it all goes well for you. I'll be thinking of you. So yeah, fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Okay, so intro first. 2, 3. Back, D7, middle finger, and the rake if you like it. Yeah, then part the 1. On, off, G minor, G, D7, going to do the nudge. Ready? Cool, there we go. Let me know how you got on with that, folks. Isn't it fun? It's just a bit of nonsense in a good way, this. And I call it nonsense, but Roy Smeck built a whole career out of it. He was an absolute genius with this stuff. So, yeah, good luck, Barbara. I hope it is in life, that is. But do you know what? The marvels of modern medicine, they will take care of you and you'll be absolutely fine. I've had a few students that have been through carpal tunnel, had surgery, and they're doing a lot better. So you'll be good. Let's have a look at part 2 then, and then we'll look at our next 2 tricks. So part 2, we're still on a type of G chord, hence name Crazy G, right? But this time we're going to do a lot of moving with the little finger. And for people that find that they need to use their little finger for this, and that they find it quite hard to train their little finger, this is a great exercise, all right? So this next bit will be really, really good for you. So we hold a G chord down, okay? And then we're going to move this little finger up to the 5th fret of the A string, back to the 3rd fret, and off. It goes up again, back, and off. So if we think about what frets we're playing on here, just with the little finger, ignore the rest of these fingers, the frets we're playing with this little finger, it's off, 5, 3, off, 5, 3, off. When I say off at the end, I mean just take your little finger. There is a finger on the 2nd fret, but just what little finger does. We'll do it one more time, okay? Off, 5, 3, off, 5, 3, off. Give it a go. 2, 3, 4. Off, 5, 3, off, 5, 3, off. Yeah, fantastic, absolutely brilliant. And then we flip around this way to a G minor, just like we did in the last section. And guess what? We do exactly the same thing. Off, 5, 3, off, 5, 3, off. All right, really nice, right? Now the next bit is a repeat of what we did in part 1. G chord, finger off and on. Then we do exactly the same thing with D7. And we go to our G chord. We go back. And you can do a chord nudge or just move it back. Okay, so let's give the whole of part 2 a go. I'll stay on close camera. We'll go really slow. 2, 3. Off, 5, 3, off, 5, 3, off, flip, off, 5, 3, off, 5, 3, off, one more, off, 5, 3, off, D7, and G, pull back, and forward. Yeah, fantastic, absolutely brilliant, guys, you're rocking this. So that's the whole of part 2. Again, don't worry if you haven't got that perfect at the moment, doesn't matter one jot. The important thing is you can practice that through slowly in your own time and you'll know how it works. The thing is, the way I've written it out is kind of like uke by numbers, so just make those shapes, follow the beats, go slowly, and you'll get there, I absolutely promise. Okay, let's do 2 more fun things. Okay, so next up we're going to do a couple of tricks. So let's do the sound hole blow next. Now this is going to be particularly difficult for me today with my cough, but I'll try and get as much into it as possible. What you need to do for this one, and this is called the sound hole blow, is you take your ukulele and you bring it up to your mouth, okay, like so. Now you're going to blow into and across the ukulele. If you've ever blown on a beer bottle and got that kind of ooh noise, that's kind of roughly what we're trying to replicate. But because your sound hole is relatively large, it's almost impossible to get a proper ooh. No, really, we just get the sound of your breath going into the uke and making a bit of a kind of a pop noise. So what you're going to do is you're just literally going to blow into and across the sound hole, as loud as you can with as much puff. Go right from your diaphragm. Keep it short and sharp, and you get that ooh, almost like a ooh sound or like a rush sound, which is really sweet. Again, this is just something Roy Smeck used to do at the end of a section just for fun. So if I was to play part 2 and do it, it would be something like this. Oh, I'm forgetting how to play part 2. Let me look at the screen. That's it. Okay, so just, again, total nonsense, right? Don't blame me, blame Roy, but just lots and lots of fun. So that's a sound hole blow. You can do at the end. And he used to do these things super quick and, you know, in fast time. He would play this about 3 times faster, and I'm not even kidding, about 3 times faster than I did for that. Lorraine just said she thinks she just gave her COVID. Oh no! Oh goodness, you'll have to get it to test itself in a bit. So fingers crossed it'll recover. Okay, let's have a look at another crazy one. This next one is really mad. And for this next one, make sure that you've got some space in front of you. This is really, really important. I'm actually going to move my flask forward a bit on my desk. This one, you really, if possible, you need to do without a strap. A couple of these that we're going to do today work a lot better without a strap. So if you normally play a strap to play, that's absolutely fine, but just take it off for this next bit if you can. You can always put it on again in a minute, or you can just watch and have a go at this later on. It's absolutely fine. I did actually do one of these tricks. I've told this story before, but I did actually do one of these tricks, the spin, whilst wearing a ukulele strap and forgetting. And I was on stage, I was playing in front of a WI and doing lots of old George Formby stuff. And I threw the uke, and because I had a strap on it, went right up, bashed me in the face. My glasses came off, flew to the floor. Ukulele went flinging back down again. I looked like a right idiot. So, and it's quite easy for me to look like an idiot at the best of the times anyway. So whatever you do, make sure you have got your strap on for this next bit. So what we're going to do is the bungee pick. Basically what you do is you can do this 2 ways. You can do a simple one where you just play a chord and you'll throw your uke, not literally, keep hold of it with this hand. You'll strum a chord. You'll, in effect, move that uke outwards away from you, keeping hold of the original chord, and bring it back down to where it was. It'll kind of look and sound something like this. Now, this will be really hard to get the impression of on Skype. If you listen really carefully, you get a kind of wow, 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 almost like a wow, wow sound. And if you really do a bit of a shake as you do it, you can really exaggerate that. And this is again is another thing that Roy Smeck used to do a lot of. Cool, right? Now there's a musician, and I don't know if he's still playing. I used to see him about 15 years ago, maybe a little bit more, called Ralph Shaw. He was a fantastic player from the States, and he used to go one step further. Now, I wouldn't say try this at home unless you have a cheap uke that you're not afraid to break. He used to do this with an old Martin as well, so he had nerves of steel. He used to tie a piece of elastic around this arm, and then another piece of elastic around the head of the uke. And as he did that, he actually used to let go, and the uke would go about another 10 centimetres, come back to the elastic, back to his hands and back down again. And it was the most magnificent thing to see. But every time he did it, it made my heart stop, honestly. It's kind of so scary, but what an amazing trick to do. Now, you can take this further. I think it might have been Brad Bordessa who did a video on this. There's another little trick that you can do where you can actually play a note off that G chord by taking one of your fingers away. I like to take away that second finger there. I'm just moving this one so you can see it like that. And this is really magic because you can play your last chord. You can flick that note off as you let go of the uke and come in. So you get this. Do you hear that? I'm doing 2 sets. And it sounds like a cartoon kind of trick, doesn't it? It's really good fun. Now, if you are doing that, the important thing, and this is really, really crucial, I should have put a legal disclaimer at the front. Please don't blame me for any damages. But if you are doing that, it's really important. You notice my thumb has come up over the top of the uke. How many times do I tell you guys, like every video, don't I, that your thumb shouldn't come up over the top of the uke? It really needs to hide down here for really good form, because you want that nice straight wrist. You don't want a bent wrist like this. Now, this is one of those rare exceptions where actually the thumb is quite useful, because it allows you to grip this neck part of the uke as you let go of a couple of strings. You can move the uke out and back again whilst that thumb is in place. Like so. Isn't that fun? It is so cool. It's one of my favourite tricks of all time. So that one I'm calling the bungee pick, and I'm going to dedicate that to Ralph Shaw because he used to do it for a little elastic bungee, which makes it sound really sweet. Again, you can put that anywhere. These are all completely interchangeable, but I'm going to put these two at the end of part 2. So part 2, you've got the nudge and the ratchet, and then part 1, you've got the nudge and the ratchet, and part 2, you've got the sound hole blow and the bungee pick, which is really, really great fun. Okay, let's try some more parts of the song then. Let's have a look. I'll bring the sheets back on, and we'll go on to the next page, and we'll have a look at part 3. I like to alter the dynamics up in part 3 and make this a little bit quieter, because it's kind of pretty kind of on one dynamic the whole way through, isn't it? It's quite loud and intense. So when I hit this next bit, and I've been doing all this, you know, normally I really give it well. When I go to the next bit, I just keep the speed up. I take the volume down slightly. So all you need to do that is just not push quite so hard as you're strumming, as opposed to. Okay, so it's really important to keep the speed the same, but just ease off the volume a little. And basically what's happening in this final part of section A, part 3, is we're going to go to another form of G chord, hence crazy G, this time a G7 chord. And all you're going to do, a lot of this stuff sounds more complex and looks more complex than it is. You're literally just going to take this ring finger off and on the string. That's all there is to it, okay? So we play a G7 and we play on, off, on, off, on, off, on, okay? Really similar to the first section where we're doing it here. There's a lot of repetition in this song, same thing. Same finger, but this time it's on the A string. Then we go up to this C6 chord where we just put this finger over 2 strings. So this one's come off, hasn't it? That one comes down, and then you push it up to this C6 shape, often called an A minor 7. They're enharmonic equivalents. Don't sweat the theory, it just means a chord can be called 2 different things, okay? And yeah, John, don't try that last one with the baritone. Yeah, quite right, quite right. And what we do is we play this C6 chord here at the 3rd fret. We just dip it back again and forward. Okay? So if I put that together with the start of part 3, it'll sound like this. 2, 3, 4. Relatively straightforward, not too bad. Again, if you don't get that straight away now, you will get it with practice. The same with all of this. And then one of my favourite bits where we go to an A7, all we do on this next bit is we play an A7 and then we add various notes on the A string. So we play an A7 for 2 beats. We add a finger to the 2nd fret, and I like to use my 3rd finger, it just sits there nicely. Then we move it up to the 4th fret. No, we don't. Hang on. What have I got? 3rd fret. So we go off, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Off, 2, 3, 4. just like that. Then this is really cool. Your fingers are halfway there to the next bit. Just take your little finger up one more fret to the 5th fret and bar the whole of the 4th fret, okay? And then we're going to start by playing. We're not actually going to put this little finger down straight away. We're going to start with this D7 shape. And then we're going to add it. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So from that A7, it's easier if I show you. It will sound and look like this. Off, 2, 3, 4, D7, and then add your little finger. There we go. Sorry, that's a bit squeaky, wasn't it? There we go, that's better. Now there's a little birdie here that says down, triple it, down, down. This is if you want to get really technical and fancy pantsy. You don't have to do this, but you can make it sound really sweet like this. What I'm doing there is I'm doing a down strum, hence the down. Then I'm going to chuck. That means take all the pressure out of this hand, so there's no pressure at all, so I get this sound. And I do a triplet, down with my fingers, down with my thumb, and up with my finger. Down with my fingers, down with my thumb, up with my finger. Okay, so that's the triplet. And then 2 chucks down. I'll show you what I mean in slow motion. Down, triple it, chuck, chuck. 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 It will obviously take a lot of practice, but it sounds really cool. And then you just strum the D that follows, all right? So have a load of fun with that at the end. That's quite complex, but remember, you could watch this video back later. You can slow it down by using the playback speed button on YouTube. Just click the 3 dots. Don't do it now, otherwise I'll talk in slow motion like that and it will all go wrong. But later on, when you watch the playback, hit the 3 dots and you can put the playback speed to 75% and it will make it easier to play along with. So have a little try of that later on. Now that's it for the whole of the A section. That's parts 1, 2 and 3. And generally at that point in the song, you repeat the whole of the A section, hence what I've written there in terrible block writing. I won't do that, but if you want to, you can play through the whole thing and repeat it. It just sounds really cool. So something to try if you like. Now here I've suggested using the rake trick at the end of that section. So when you do that bottom line, you could do... Whoops, I'll do that again. What am I doing? There we go. You could just do a little last rake at the end there if you want to. But there's all sorts you could do there. You could do the spin one. There's all sorts of fun things you can have a go at there. We'll save the spin to the end. I'm going to show you how to do that at the end, which is really sweet. Let's keep going because we're about to come to my next favourite part. Now, the final sections, they sound even better than the first few sections, and they look harder, but actually they're not too bad. So let's have a go at them. They sound really, really effective. We can look at part 4 now. This is the start of the B section, if you like the second half of the song. Now, this is, again, based on G shapes, and we're going to take a G shape here. I'm going to take it up the fretboard. Technically, it's becoming other types of chords. Like here, it's kind of suggesting like a B flat chord. Okay, but it's still a G shape. So we're going to start with playing this G shape at the 2nd fret. Then we're going to take it up to the 5th fret. The beautiful thing about that is it's your next dot. Okay. Then we're going to take it up to the 7th fret. Guess what? It's your next dot. Make sure these 2 fingers are on the dots. Next stop for 10th fret. Now, some sopranos, you run out of space for this next bit, but if you can squish your fingers in, what we're going to do is we're going to put our little finger down on the 14th fret, and then, believe it or not, if you can, we're going to move it up to the 15th. Okay? Now, this will only work on a uke if it's got 15 frets. Most ukes will have, some sopranos don't. So if your soprano doesn't have enough frets, believe it or not, you can still do it. All you need to do is just push down the string where the 15th fret would have been. You have to use your violin ears and just kind of roughly guesstimate that it's next to your finger and about that far away, and it will still work. Okay, I'll do that whole line for you. You'll see what I mean. I'll drop my uke down so you can see what's happening. Here we go. 5th fret, 7th fret, 10th fret, add my little finger to 12, and 13. I told you little lie, it's 13, isn't it? There we go. All right, one more time. Let's do it all together now. 2, 3, 4. 12, 13, hold it there, and then we do a D shape, but it's on the 7th and the 10th frets. It will look like this. Bar the whole of the 7th fret, and your little or your 3rd finger, whichever you prefer, is going to come down here onto the 10th fret, so 7 and 10. It's actually a type of G chord, because what we've done is we've taken a C chord, and we've turned it into a C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G. So even though it looks like a D shape now, we're still playing a type of G chord, crazy G, right? Now, if you're not feeling particularly fancy pants, you can just strum this. Just stay on there. Yeah, Karen, absolutely right. If you are feeling fancy pants, do you remember that down triplet chuck chuck we did? You can do the down triplet part like this. Down triplet. And you take all of the pressure off for the triplet. So squeeze for the down. Let it go for the triplet. Down, triplet, down, triplet, down, triplet, down, triplet. And then for this final bit where it says stab down right at the end, you literally just squeeze and release 8 times. Like that. Okay? So that second line will sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, very good, right, guys? It's cool. Not too bad, not too bad. Tricky to get your fingers to squeeze in, but it's a really cool thing. Let's try the whole of part 4 then, really slowly. I'll bring it in on close cam. Okay. Don't worry if you can't do this yet. You'll get it with practice. And Karen says, quite rightly so, it kind of sounds like Takeoff, this section, and that's it. It's like it's going even more crazy. It's already been a bit crazy, but now it's going super crazy. We're taking off. Here we go then. 2, 3, 4, G. 5th fret. 7th. 10th. Little finger on 12th. 13. And then we come back to that D shape, 7 and 10. Down, triplet, down, triplet, down, triplet, down, triplet, down, 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 down. Yeah, fantastic. Well done, guys. You might have noticed that as I was doing those Gs, this hand started to move down with it a little bit. Because otherwise, if you don't, you run out of space. You end up playing your fingers, not ukulele. So make sure you strum a bit further back as you go back as well. Okay, believe it or not, we're a fair way through now. Here comes a cough. So sorry, guys. We've only got parts 5 and 6 to go. and I'll show you a couple of new tricks at the end. So it's all about the tricks really more than anything. So we're nearly there. So I'm just going to pause for a second and take a swig of my drink. If you've got any questions so far of anything we've done, just let me know, because I'm aware you guys have been super quiet, but I think it's only because you're working so hard on playing all these things, which is amazing. Don't worry, it's not a problem at all. But I just want to make sure there's no questions. So I'll just take a quick guzzle. And then let me know any questions at all. Doesn't even have to be related to Crazy G. Could be related to ukulele. We're not going to do world politics. Okay. But any questions, ping them through as we look at the next bit. Okay. Yeah, Charlene. Yeah, fantastic, Jake. We love Jake Shimabukuro. And it does, yeah, it feels quite Jake-esque, doesn't it? I think Jake does a version of this where he plays slower and faster, doesn't he? I used to do that trick at my set, and I used to say you either have to shout slower or faster. And of course, no one ever shouts slower, so you end up going like crazy fast at the end. It's loads of fun. Okay, let's have a look. Got somehow managed to get drink on my glasses. I'm so sorry, guys. Let's have a look at the final sections then, sections 5 and 6, and then I'll teach you the last couple of key skills. So this next one's a little bit tricky on the fingers. What we're going to do is we're going to play a D major chord, but instead of doing it this way with 3 fingers, we're going to bar the whole of the 2nd fret. Then we're going to reach up with our little finger to this 5th fret. Yeah, don't worry, John. My old Martin, this is a new Martin. My old Martin has 12 frets. You can still do it if you push down, but I know it's not quite the same. Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna. Oh, I wonder. I've got my old Gibson around somewhere. I wonder if that's got 12 frets. Oh no, that's sort of. I've got my old Gibson here, but that's got 12. Yeah, that's got enough frets as well. I was trying to think if I had a soprano where I could show you what I did when I ran out of frets, but apparently all my sopranos seem to have more than 12 frets. So this next bit, we're going to play a D shape like this with your little finger on the 5th fret of the A string. And then we're basically going to start to descend along that A string. You're going to use your ring finger on the 4th fret. Sounds a bit like the 12th Street Rag, I always think, this bit. And then you take that finger away, so you've got a finger on the 2nd fret. Now this is the tough bit. Really, this is what you need to do. You can either go back to a D shape, but it's a big change to do that. Or the best thing to do is just lift off this finger just enough so you get that open A string. Now you might get a bit of chucking because you might find your pressure isn't particularly hard on the E string, so you might get a bit of this on that string. But because you're going to be doing it at speed and with power like this, just you don't really notice the chuck. It's kind of there, but it kind of gets lost in all the lost in translation a bit. So we're going 5, 4, 2nd, and lifting up. Okay, like that. Yeah, cool. And we basically do that twice. Again. Now, Lynn, there is a way, if you want, if it's a bit of a stretch, but if you play your D chord like this, like 3 fingers, and reach up with your little finger, you can. See how? It's quite hard on my little soprano, but you can just about do it that way as well. So horses for courses. See what you can manage on that. The next bit is way easier. When we do the bottom line, we're back to an A7 shape, and this time we do off, 1, 2, 4. I hit the wrong one then. Off, 1, 2, 4, and again we do that twice. Off, 1, do that whole section then. 2, 3, 4. You notice mine wasn't particularly clean, but honestly, when you do it at speed, because you're going to speed this up eventually, you won't notice that little bit of chucking in there. It'll be absolutely fine. All right, so yeah, two fingers will work on that D as well. Then that's absolutely fine. Yeah, any way you can make it work, you'll be absolutely fine. Right, that brings us to our grand finale and our last two skills then. So this next bit sounds fantastic. And again, you can do this with or without this chuck bit, if you like. If you want to put the chucks in, it will sound like and look like this in slow motion. Okay. What I'm doing is I'm playing a D chord, like so. And I'm strumming down and I'm squeezing as I do it. Then I'm letting all of the pressure come out of these fingers and I'm doing a triplet, and then I'm squeezing again on the downs. Down, triplet, and 2 squeezes. Down, triplet, squeeze, squeeze. If you don't want to do the triplet, you could still make it sound cool like this. Squeeze, chuck, squeeze, squeeze. All right. And then we do a D7 and we do exactly the same thing. D7, chuck, squeeze, squeeze. Okay. We do exactly the same thing on a G chord. Don't worry about this string ringing out. It's absolutely fine. And we do squeeze, chuck, squeeze, squeeze. And then finally flip around these two for a G minor, exactly the same thing. Okay. So in slow motion, that will look and sound something like this. Okay. Again, it sounds a little bit clammy at that pace, but it sounds a lot better when eventually you speed it up. And that will come much later. It takes a lot of practice, this one, to be able to speed that up. But what I'm saying is, don't worry if it sounds a little bit clunky. For now, it'll be absolutely fine. This is it, last grand finale. And I will show you a couple of tricks with this one, which is fun. All right, but let me just show you the actual chords first. So from this line here, we're just doing our A7 again, adding our fingers to the A string one at a time, off, 1, 2, 4, and again, off, 1, 2, 4, one more time. Okay, you can add a little triplet on the first one if you want. Now, the ending, and I'll show you 2 skills with these in a sec. I haven't ignored the windmill triplet. We're going to go back to this D chord. And what I want you to do is I want you to shake with a tremolo. And that just means we're going to shake our hand like this. Notice the shake is coming from the wrist and not the elbow. So it's not like a big shake like this, which would be almost impossible. I'm pushing my index finger out like so. And then just the tip of that index finger or the tip of the nail is going to shake very lightly backwards and forwards over the strings, like so. Now, one of the tips that I got from James Hill when I was playing years ago was that when you do something that's fast, like a tremolo shake, you do it very lightly. So don't push the strings hard like this, because your fingers will get caught up and it'll sound really messy and you're likely to lose a nail doing that as well. And Jake Shimabukuro is the same. When Jake Shimabukuro does a tremolo strum, you notice he does it really light. His fingers are just barely touching the strings like this. And then all you're going to do is you're going to take that D shape up to a D sharp. finish, okay? And we call that tremolo. I realised, annoyingly, that I've actually spelt it wrong. It says tremolo, but if you're really pedantic, and I am, it should say tremolo. All right, that E should be an O, but it doesn't matter. We're all friends, right? It's just I wrote these sheets long before I realised how to actually spell the words. But it should say all tremolo, because that's the term. So super shaky and light. Just move your hand up a fret, bring it back, and you can slow it down. Now, for that last one, I like to really hit it and then mute the strings. So strum down hard and just let all the tension go out of these fingers. Fantastic. Then, if you're feeling brave, you can do one final trick, which is to flip your uke, which is one of my favourite things to do. The way to do that is you've finished your chord, you've muted it anyway, so it doesn't need to ring out. As soon as you finish that chord, put your finger up here into a circle. So basically, your fingers, you can do it without, but it's a bit more dangerous without. I tend to do it without because I've got used to it. But you can put your fingers into a very loose circle. Okay. Then down here, you're going to take your thumb and you're going to place it on the soundboard, and your fingers are going to come behind the uke. It's really important. If you do it like this, you won't be able to rotate your wrist enough. So you're rotating your wrist so that your thumb is coming onto the back of the ukulele. And in effect, what you're doing is you're turning the ukulele as you're pushing it upwards with those thumb and fingers. Okay, so that's the first bit of rotation. It's like that. Notice I'm cradling the uke here, not letting it go, or you could do your circle, okay? Like that. And then when it gets to around here, you let go. So you've gone a large way around the spin without even letting go of the uke. It looks like the uke's in the air for more than it is. Then you would let go, and as you let go, your uke is going to complete the spin and just let it drop to your lap. It'll take a bit of practicing. If you go too far, I'm trying to do it. You end up with your uke the wrong way round, which actually is fine. It just doesn't look as cool, right? Because we're not going to play chords because we finished the song. But if you're careful, you can just get it to spin enough and land the right way up. And you can actually do that in the middle of the song if you're quick enough. I didn't do it. Let me do it. And then you can carry on with the song, which looks quite cool. But yeah, have a little experiment. Just always make sure you're grasping the uke this end. We don't want any ukuleles going flying over the way. That wouldn't be good. Okay, one last trick, and then I'll take any questions at the end. We're going to have a go at windmill triplets. Let's go through that basic triplet again, just the pattern so I can show you how to do it. And then we'll turn it into a windmill triplet. So basic triplet, you're going to come down. I'm just muting the strings here. You're going to come down with the nails of your strumming hand. In fact, what I like to do, it's generally taught like this. I actually like to unfurl these fingers as I go. Lynn, you just made me laugh. Yeah, it's quite possible. I've not had one yet, but you never know. Lynn says she can see a black eye coming. That's where glasses offer you some protection, unless they smash, I guess. Okay, so for the triplet, unfurl those fingers. It makes it less movement as you come down. That's your trip. The pull of, we're going to make triplet a 3-syllable word. The pull is your thumb coming down. And then the let is your index finger coming up. Triplet, 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 triplet. Now what you want to do is start really slowly. Triplet, triplet. And then see if you can do it without a gap in between the triplets. Triplet, triplet, triplet. And then gradually increase the speed. You can go crazy fast with practice, right? Now you can put these triplets on their own. George Formby used to call it a drop thumb triplet, where you just put one of those triplets in slow motion like this. See how I just put one on those chords there? The reason he used to call it a drop thumb triplet is you only see the thumb move. Triplet, triplet. Okay. Or you can just keep those triplets going. Now, if you make them into a circle like this, triplet, I'll do that slower. Fingers here, thumb here, and then come back over the sound hole. See that? We call that windmill triplets because we're going in a circle. And it looks really cool. I love it. If you go slow and speed up, it sounds like a train speeding up. Have a listen. Steam train. Engines getting going. Steam's going. And we're off on our journey. Okay. So those triplets work really well on this last section with these A7s. I'll bring it on screen again to show you. And we'll have a go. And I tend to actually do the opposite of speeding up. I actually like to start fast and slow down on these. It sounds really effective. I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so last section. Okay, fantastic. So when I've done the first part of part 6, it'll sound like this. That bit there. When I go to this next bit, I'll do triplet. Now slow down. Okay, so I'm putting triplets in all those A7s. I'll do it at speed. Why slowing down rather than speeding up? Because it creates a juxtaposition of what comes next, which is as fast as you can get. Because this is almost like a comedy piece, that juxtaposition sounds amazing because you get that slowing, almost a comedic effect. It's a tease, right? So it builds up to the crescendo. You think it's done, and then you get the fast bit, which then has all the impacts. And whoop, there's your flip. Okay, fantastic. So I hope you found that interesting. Loads of fun stuff going on there. Of course, excuse me. Of course, it's quite hard to teach the whole of Crazy G in one lesson because it's quite complex, isn't it? And there's loads going on. But hopefully, like I say, you've got enough there that you could take away and learn that. If you wanted to spend a bit more time on Crazy G and you really enjoy it, there is a version of it on one of my courses. I believe it's the Next Steps course. If you go to mattsteadukulele.com, click on Learn, where all my courses are. There are 9 sequential courses that you can learn from, and then go to the Next Steps one, and the video is in there, Crazy G. I don't think it has all the showboating skills, but you know how to do those now anyway, and you can use the sheets to learn. Obviously, if you've downloaded the worksheets, you've got these to work off for the rest of posterity anyway, so you can take your time with it, work slowly. And as I'm going to nag you about in my next video that I'm going to put on my courses, which is all about practicing, start slow, gradually speed up. It's more important to get the rhythm and the technical skills right slowly and then speed it up. If you do it the other way around and you try to learn it too fast, you'll always be repeating the same mistakes and they'll become embedded and then it'll be really hard to unlearn them. So go slow, promise me, and have loads and loads of fun with that. I'm going to stick around at the end just to see if we've got any questions at all with any of that. Oh, Lynn bashed herself in her head. I hope you didn't actually do that, Lynn. Fingers crossed now. Oh, you can't make me laugh because I sound like Muttley today with this cough. It's terrible. Oh, there it is. Oh my goodness, I really do sound like Muttley. By the way, if anyone doesn't remember that, he was a character from what was it? Not Camptown Races. Was it Camptown Races? I forgot what it's called now. But anyway, yeah. Thank you. Everyone will feel much better soon. Hopefully, Charlene. We're sending all our love to everyone. So yeah, get well soon, Lorraine and Karen, and good happy recovery, and Esther as well. Esther's not able to make it today, but I'm sure she'll be back before too long. Couple of things to tell you about then, guys. So the next live lesson, we're back into bi-weekly, or is that right? Or is it twice? I think it's bi-weekly. Yes, that is the word. Fortnightly, that's the word I'm looking for. We're back into fortnightly lessons again now. So next one's going to be end of August, 2 weeks today, at 3:30, which is going to be our next live lesson. And this one is how to structure your learning, aka how to get good at uke. It's a bit of a cheesy title, isn't it? But it kind of does what it says on the tin. What I've done is I've produced some sheets, and I think they're behind me because I'm also going to do this. I'm going to do it as a live lesson in 2 weeks, but I've also recorded a version which I'm going to be putting on all the courses because I think it's really important. And it's really kind of a lot of detail on how to structure your learning. And I've also given some kind of rough learning plans. There's a mistake that I've got correct on it, hence my pen. Which kind of gives you some basic tips, but some structured learning plans that you can take on with some examples of when to practice and how long for and things like that. And it's such an important thing in playing, and I can't believe I've never done a video on it before. We did how to learn arrangements, but we've never really looked in a lot of detail on how to practice. So I'll go through a lot of basic tips, what makes good practicing, the kind of things that will help, like recording yourself, taking your time, thinking sequentially, building a routine, all of that stuff I'll go into in a lot of detail. And I really hope you guys will ask lots of questions as well, because I think it will be quite useful. We won't have a lot of ukulele playing in it, but I think actually it will be one of the most important ones for your learning, which would be fantastic. So that's going to be 2 weeks today, how to structure your learning, how to practice basically, when to do it and how to do it, some tips on how to do it, everyone. So thank you. Yeah, thank you guys, thank you. Brilliant. Oh, thanks John, that's good to hear. Thank you. Woo, love it. You guys are the best. Brilliant. So a couple of other things to tell you about. We'll be back on Monday for the next Canacapilla, where we've got a Motown special. I'm going to be putting the worksheets. Karen finished them off today, so I'm going to be putting them online probably tomorrow, because I've got to head home after this for my din-dins and pick up the kids. So that'll be tomorrow. I'll put the sheets up for Monday's Canacapilla. We've got some crackers, got some absolute crackers on Monday. I can't wait. It's going to be loads of fun. And then what else I need to tell you about? Oh, Harry's here. Oh, it's like you read my mind, Harry. Don't forget, we've got the ukulele cruise coming up in February, which I'm super excited about. And remember, there's somebody looking for a partner for their cabin for this. So if you want to share the cost a little bit to bring the costs down, you can share the cabin with that person. Get in touch with Harry or Donna, and they'll be able to put you in touch. We'll get that sorted. It's going to be a fantastic cruise. I can't wait for it. So a nice way to bring some sunshine to your winter, I'd say. So yeah, cannot wait. It's going to be fantastic. So there we go. Our previous showboating lesson was 20th of July 2020. 2022, 2 years ago. That is mad. I had no idea it was that long ago. Madness. And also don't remember, we've got our Christmas ukulele retreat coming up in December. And I think I've got to wait just to confirm it, but I've got some super exciting news for that. We've got an overseas tutor coming who I've been keen to get over for a treat for some time. And I'll give you one clue, because It's a she, and she's absolutely wonderful. So that's going to be absolutely fantastic. Really excited about that. We'll have an announcement of that soon, but tickets are on sale. We've only got about 15 left for that one, so get in soon if you can for the winter and Christmas retreat. And I've confirmed today that Father Christmas is coming and will be bringing presents. So there's another reason to come on to that retreat. It's going to be loads of fun. And our summer retreat next year at the end of August, I also have another international artist that's coming over who I've been trying to get for about 5 years now. He was meant to come to one of our early retreats, but had to cancel because of COVID, I think it was, or some other reason, I can't quite remember. But it looks like it's happening. So next summer's retreat is going to be another interstellar one, which is fantastic. It's not Del Rey, John, although I would love to have Del Rey. She's amazing. I'm a massive fan of Del Rey. But yeah, you have to wait and see. Fantastic. Rebecca, tips for teaching the tricks to kids. What you could do is just take a much more simple song and put them on. Do something that's kind of upbeat, but a few chords, like Surfing USA. That's a really good one. Now, guys, if you keep mentioning names, that's not fair because I have to say no or yes, and you'll get me eventually. I can tell you it's not Cynthia Lynn, so I can tell you that. But no more names. You're going to have to wait and see. Don't be naughty. Yeah, Rebecca, choose a simple song like Surfing USA or something, but still try and put these tricks in because kids love these things. Start simple. Don't go in with the big flipping and stuff. But the ratchet one's a great one for kids and blowing into the sound hole. They find that so much fun. Another thing that's quite good fun for kids with these is add a little bit of do a bit of percussion with the uke. That can be loads of fun with kids as well. Get them doing that. So yeah, and take it slow. But great idea. Pass the joy on, please do. That'd be fantastic. Thanks, Jenny. Right, I'm going to stick my tongue out at you now, Karen. There you go. You just have to wait. I'll hopefully know. I'll make an announcement before the weekend, I'm sure. So not long to wait. It's going to be very exciting. Okay, well, take care of everyone. I will see you soon. I'm going to leave you with a photo that I took on Monday night. I've been wanting to see the Aurora Borealis. Borealis? Is that the right one? Northern Lights for years and years. And it came to England this Monday. I got some lovely photos, so I'm going to end with a beautiful photo that I took Monday of the Northern Lights in the Forest of Dean, believe it or not. So I went up, my app went mad that predicts the aurora, and Sharon said, right, get out, go and find the darkest place you can in the forest and never come back. No, she didn't say that last bit. She said, go and find a really good vantage point in the forest with no light pollution and go and enjoy it. And I did. I went up to the highest point of the forest, Reardine Hill, and I got this lovely photo, and it was amazing. You could see it all with the naked eye, all these lights dancing. It was absolutely incredible. It's going to be a really good autumn and winter for this because the sunspots, we're still having loads and loads of activity. And of course, in the summer, you've only got a short slot to see it in the UK, really between sort of 11 o'clock at night and 3 in the morning, because either side of that is too light. But in the autumn and winter, that gets much bigger, so you've got much more chance of seeing them. So really, if you missed out, don't get FOMO or anything. You've got good chances of seeing them if you're around the latitude of the UK or higher this autumn and winter, which would be cool. Maybe the autumn, who knows, might get incredibly lucky at the autumn, the Christmas retreat, who knows. If we don't, we'll just have to do another one in Norway, and then we're bound to see them, right? Fantastic. Oh, I love it. I love it. Oh, talking about Colorado. Oh, I'll tell you about that another time. I'm hoping to do a Uke students meetup in America, and we're looking at Denver at the moment. It's not far from there, is it? So, yeah, cool. Anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you guys. Have a fantastic few days, and hopefully I'll see you on Monday for the next Canna and in your online lessons very soon. And we'll catch up for another live lesson in a fortnight's time. Take care, everyone. Thanks for your patience while I did all the festival stuff. Thanks for waiting and thanks for coming back. It's always a bit scary. I had a real scared feeling this morning, a bit like Canna that there might only be 2 people turn up, but you've been really supportive of it as always. So thanks for being the best students ever, wonderful friends and brilliant people. Take I'll see you again for another